In this YouTube video, I'm going to review Chapter 17 and 18 of Access 2017, The Missing Manual. This is the Visual Basic Coding section of the book, and I'm going to show you the end product before I actually go over stuff so you can see why it's useful. So basically, I have like forms here called place order, and basically I have like a control combo box here that you can select like a customer from it. So you could select whoever your customer is, and let's say I select this person, Lisa Limon, and then down here I have a subform which has I'll walk through how to set everything up later on in the video, but basically I could just select different products, and then it just auto calculates the price, and I could like change the quantities if I want to, and I could add however many products I want to this order for Lisa Limon. And down here it has the total, and then over here it has the order ID and the day placed, which is today. So when I close out this form, that finishes placing the order, and now the order that I just created is on the orders table. So here it is, order 30, new, and it has all the items I just added and all the quantities and pricing. So I just added a record for an order via a form, and then also it didn't just add all this information to the orders table, it added it to multiple tables. It also added it to the customers table. So over here on Lisa Limon, if you expand, because the plus here on this table, that is it'll show the many relationship. So it shows each of her orders, and here is the ID, and then here's the one I just did. So I could expand this, and then you can see all this is all the products in this order, and this is all the products in this order. So I mean, I guess let me just open up the table relationships. So I guess you have the customers. I just closed that out. Whoops. Customers. So the customers have a one-to-many relationship with the order status, and the order status has a one-to-many relationship with the orders. So basically you can see here's the order status, and then here is the orders, and you could see like the order basically on the customers table just from that form. You could also see it on so you could see it on the order status table too. So if I open up the new orders, because any new order that you add, it gets added to new, and then here's 30 down here. But someone on some other table, they could actually, when they're reviewing and the warehouse workers are moving stuff around, they could switch it to in progress or shipped, and then from then on it manages and changes the inventory, and it also sends out invoices and emails to the customers. And then here is the order details table. So the order details table just is a summary of everything. So you could just summarize or group anything, and it just has each of the order IDs, 30, 30, 30, because there are 4 products in this order. So it's like a summary table just with everything. And then I guess the products, so it doesn't really add anything to the products because we just selected from a combo box all of the, like we selected this, and I mean the units in stock, it updates based on the queries that run. So we actually went into the negative with this because we processed too many deliveries, but I'll go into that later. But basically this is just all the products, and I actually have, later on I'll show you in the combo box, I added a macro that, or VB script that basically lets you add a product into the checkbox instead of having to go to the table. So you could add new orders, and you could add new products without having to leave the form. And so yeah, so let me just go back to the form again. So basically I'll just create another one. This one will be Melissa Hancock, and she ordered potatoes and carrots. So she ordered 100 potatoes, and that's that order. So I close that out and then go to orders. Now it's at 31. So you can see her order right here. So that's kind of proof of concept. And so if I go to ship orders, this actually tracks the 2 orders I just did, which was Lisa Limon and here's like the Lisa Limon one. So order status new. Yeah, so here's the Lisa Limon one. So actually, see how it says new? I wrote a macro that links to this button, and when I press it, it basically opens up another. It opens up another form, and it just shows each of the. I didn't make the form full screen, but it shows each of the products on the order, and then you could actually click ship, and what that does is it marks instead of, because right now it says in progress, because it switches to in progress while you're working on it, so that if someone else clicks it, it updates in real time, so they're not allowed to work with that order anymore because you're already working with it and you're reviewing it. So you could have like a team of people just sitting there, and their job is to just watch the inventory getting moved around, and if one person's reviewing one order, then the other person can't review it. So, and then there's no X up here, so you can't exit out, so your only option is to click ship or cancel. If you press cancel, it doesn't finish the order, but if you click ship, that means the order's finished and it's shipping, and then from then on it actually updates the inventory for the products. So as you can see, like you could track like the units on order and like the units in stock, and I mean now the ship orders. Yeah, so now this switches to shipped instead of in progress. So basically you can add orders to tables. You can like multiple tables from one form, and let me go back to the place order form. So now I'm just going to do like Stanley, and I'm just going to type in like a new product here, and I'm going to press enter, and it's going to, I wrote a VB script here that says, do you want to add a new product? So I click yes, and what this does is it opens up another form here, and well, later on when I do it, it'll actually have the product here. The product name should be here, and these should all be blank, but you'll see it on my, let me go to add product. I have to just add a macro to this real quick. Add product to. So I didn't have this form open args thing, so that just carries over the data that, so yes. So let me try typing this new product again. Yes. So now that what it does is it carries over the value that I typed in this form over to this form. And what I could also do is I could have the form load and it'll have everything blank, and it'll just have this type new here. And then what I basically could do here is I could select the different categories, like I could select like fruits and vegetables, pastries, and I could write like a description here, like I could type like bread and stuff, and you could add like a price and then how many are in stock. So this is like a new product that I just added here. And oh wait, first you have to select the customer. Yeah, so I could select like fruits and vegetables, $19.99, close that out. So basically she ordered that and coconut syrup, and then I'll close that out. So I go to orders, and down here it has the new product over here. So where's type W? Oh yeah, right here, type W. Yeah, so it adds it to the product, and it has all the stuff that I just yeah. So you could add like products to your orders, and you could also manage inventory with the forms too. So I'm gonna go over the basic stuff for this chapter, and I'm gonna open up a different database now, and then I'm also gonna build that forms and show you the tables that I just showed you, the end result. I'm actually gonna walk through how to actually build that from beginning to end. So I opened up Access, and then basically go to Database Tools and click here. This is the Visual Basic Editor, which is also in Excel and Microsoft Outlook. You can watch my my main VBA tutorial playlist, which has a description, a more thorough description of everything in the Visual Basic Editor. And my video is actually called like Programming in Excel Lesson 1, Visual Basic Editor, if you want to watch that. So over here, I'm actually going to skip over a few things because I cover everything there. So go here, click Module, and that'll add a module to the area over here, which is the Visual Basic Editor. And over here, this is called just the project window. If you don't see it here, I'm going to Project Explorer, I'm going to close it out, go to View, Project Explorer, here's the Project Explorer, and then if you go to View, the Properties window, you got the Properties window here. So see how it says Module 1 here? You could change the name of it to like Code 1, and it changes the name up here. So different things in here. Like here's the forms. So you could have the Microsoft Access class objects, and it has like the different subroutines for the forms up here, but you could also write subroutines in modules, which we added. We just did insert and module. And basically the module code, what it does is it runs to like it's like a public code, and it has like the public routines, and then like the forms, it says private. So it's basically these only execute on this form, and then it also will have like the name of the control, and then like an underscore and an action that it does. So it's like underscore click or underscore change, or like mouse move and after update and undo and all these other underscores. So basically, if you go to Like for this, if you go to like File and Save, you could change the name of the module that way just by going to File and Save, if you don't want to open up the Properties window. And I mean, the most common way to write sub procedures is you basically write like sub, and then you write like sub routine. So it's basically just sub and then subroutine, open parentheses, close parentheses, and then end sub. And what you basically do is, let's say I'll type like the following is a message box. So the single quote there, that indicates that it's a comment. And then I'm just going to write like message box, and here is a message box. I'm just going to press play up here, and what this does is it executes the subroutine from the top to the bottom, and here's a message box. So basically that was a message box there. I'm going to press F8, and F8 actually steps through the code line by line. So after it passes the line, that's when that line executes. So I'm going to press F8. Right now I'm on message box, and then if I press F8 again, that line will execute and you'll see the message box. So that's how you could step through the code, by pressing F8 on the keyboard. You can press F5 on the keyboard in order to just execute everything top to bottom. And then, so that's like really basic stuff. And VB code only runs in trusted databases. So if this isn't a trusted database, I showed you in the 4th video how to enable the database. You click up here and you click enable that it's trusted, and then, or you could go over here to trust the locations, add a new location, and then select the folder and make it trusted. And if it's on a network, you could click allow trusted networks on my network and then point to it, and then you'll be able to run VBA within that database. So if you go to, I'm going to go to this form here, and what I did here is, so I added this button here, and every time I click it, something happens. So what I did on this form is I have like I made a form. So I went to create blank form, and then over here I went to design and button. So I added this button here called, that says caption click me, and then I went to event and event procedure, and over here so the button is called just button of power. I don't know, that's what the author called it, you call it whatever. And then if you go to, it's basically underscore click, so when it gets clicked, this is what happens. It says you click the button, and then it says description equal to double quotes, which means blank. And I think this box is description. And then it does a few other things too. It also says if me.current record is less than me.record count. So me in this case is referring to the current object. It's used a lot in like me could be in reference to the currently active user form. It could be used as the currently active workbook, the currently active worksheet, but in this case it's the currently active form, which is one button form. It's just shorthand for it. So if me dot the current record, so right now the current record is, let's go over here, it's 1 out of 9, and then it's 2 out of 9. So basically if the current record is less than the total amount of records, then it moves to the next record. Otherwise, it moves to the first record, because if it's not less than the record count, then it means that it's the last. That would mean it's the last one, so I want to start over. So basically what this does is it cycles through each of the records every time I click this button. And then what the description is, at first I set it to blank, but then I set it to, what I did was a lookup for I looked up in the product. Let me see what table this is linked to. Design view. So the data for this is not linked to anything. So what it basically does is it looks up in the products table, it looks up the column product name, where, let me look up the table relationships. So it looks up product name in the products table where the ID is equal to the forms and then one button form product ID. So let me see. So in addition to creating, this was a text box here. So over here is text box. I just put that there and I named it description. And that's how you could basically, you add this button that I showed you, and then you have this text box. So if I click here and I go to form and then data, so the record source for this form will be from the order details table. You could select the tables here, and what this DLOOKUP formula is looking at is from the products table, I want the column product name where the key in the products table of ID is equal to my current form, and then the name of the form, which is one button form, and then exclamation point product ID. And the reason I chose product ID is because that's what's equal to the ID in the products table, as you can see in the relationship here. So ID here is equal to the product ID in the order details, and order details is the, if you click here and then go to form, that is where this form is pulling the data from. So basically, let me go to form view. The first record, the second record, the third record. Every time I click this, it cycles to the next record. And let me go to order details table. This is the order details table. It has 9 records. So every time I click that button, it goes here, then here, then here, then here, then here. It just goes one record at a time. So if I go to design view, let me walk through the rest of the code. So that's what the DLOOKUP formula does. And then this right here, description.backcolor equals VB yellow, that basically just changes this text box to yellow, just to show that you could change the colors to yellow to make it more visual. Like for example, in the ship thing, you could make the in progress yellow so the person who's working with it can see that the box changed colors. And then basically you could do over here, you could do if the description.value equals chocolate carrots. So if this text box, if the value in it says chocolate carrots, then down here, this label, which is this one, you just write this, click here, drag this down here, and then just type like something in the name real quick so it doesn't disappear. And then under other, just change the name to taxes. And so if the description up here in the yellow box says chocolate carrots, then the taxes caption equals chocolate carrots, and then this is just text here. So it says chocolate carrots are taxes, price is, and then I put a concatenate symbol, so it basically concatenates this text with this double quoted text on both sides, and then I concatenated that with price dot value times 1.99. So in the ordered details table, I have a column called price, and what that basically does is it pulls that column from the order details table, and it pulls the value, and it multiplies that by 1.99, and it's based on whatever is the current record, the current product. So that's a way you can like show a different price for the actual price and add it into a caption. So let me go to here. So what was the design view, Visual Basic, yeah, and this is all code on the form one button form, because this is related to every time I click this button, because this is a private sub. So it goes to I guess chocolate carrots. I'll wait till it's chocolate carrots. So I'll go to form view, click here. So now it's chocolate carrots. So here was this number times 1.99 is right there. Yeah, so that's how you can walk through the different records real quick. And yeah, I mean, that was like really basic VB code. Now I'm going to show you like in the modules. So what this does is my module.myCodeRoutine. What this does is it runs code from a different module. So I'm going to press F8, F8. So now I'm in my module. So it's running code in this module, and then it shows the message box. And then, so that's how I ran my module.myCodeRoutine, because myCodeRoutine is the name of this subroutine within the module named myModule. So that's how you run code from a different module, because we're in the macro module, and this line right here just ran the myModule macro from module for myCodeRoutine within that module. And then this other subroutine, what this does is it runs the same module in macro. It just runs the other subroutine down here, because you could have multiple subroutines in one module. And then this line right here, it opens up the one button form that I was just working on. So it opened it up, and then forms, one button form. So now this switches the back color to red. So you can't run code based on the form unless you actually have it open. But once you have it open, then you can run code based on it. So, I mean, you can run VB code to update all the records really quick if you don't like using update queries. And I mean, in this one, like, you could do like if statements. How if statements work is, so if the current record is less than the count of the records, then this gets executed. So it moves to the next record. Otherwise, else. So if it's not less than, if it's equal to the record count, which means it's the last record, then it executes else. So in that case, it moves to the first record, and then it's end if. And let me go to chapter 18 now, which will basically be See this video right here? This is the Visual Basic editor. If you want to watch that video, or my main VBA lessons to learn about the Visual Basic editor more, which is this thing right here. So I'm going to go to chapter 18 real quick and copy something. So I'm going to go to design view, and I'm going to change this event here. And see this price, it's called text 5, that's the name of it. So I'm going to delete all this. Other stuff. So basically this is a while statement. So it does this until it's less than the record count, and then once that happens, it exits the while statement, so it loops through each of the records from first to the last, and then it starts over. So if the description, so if this box equals chocolate carrots, then it takes the text value, text 5, this is text 5 for this box, and it equals text value times 2. So it basically, what this does is it multiplies whatever the price value is by 2. So if this is chocolate carrots, it multiplies the price by 2, and ends if, and then what this does right here is it just goes to the next record. So let me pull this out. So right now, let me go to products. So right now, chocolate carrots are somewhere around here. Oh, yeah, they're right here. So right now they're $6.99. So I'm going to click here. Let me just walk through that. Let me just make this a module instead. And I'll open up the form. I'll just move that over here. Whatever, this is stupid. I'm just gonna go to the next thing. So I'm gonna go to chapter 16. And this one. So on this was in the 4th video. So if you go to the macros, you go to design view, and then you could actually go over to convert macros to Visual Basic, and then click convert, and then it says conversion finished. So all the macros on here, you could basically copy the code from the macros, and it creates like a function, which is different than like the VBA, because you could call functions. You could Google how to call functions, but here's how you could like pull code from that. I thought that was pretty cool. And now I'm actually just going to recreate that thing I showed you at the beginning of the video, because I feel like that's the coolest part of the video. So I'm going to open up the database, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a blank form and go to design view, and I'm going to make the record source under the data tab. So I switch to design, I go to property sheet, and under data tab for form, the record source, I'm just going to copy it from here, and then just open it up, SQL view. So basically what I did was I selected all of the columns from the orders table, so orders dot, and then star indicates all columns. And then I selected the customers table, I selected the column street, I selected the customers table, I selected the column city, etc., state, country, postal code, phone number, email address from customers, and I did an inner join on the orders table because we're working with the orders and the customers table. So I selected all of these columns and from customers, and I joined it on orders on where the customer ID equals orders.customer ID. So if I open up the relationships, the order ID equals, so ID column and orders equals, let me just take a screenshot of this. So this equals this in this table, and let me go back to the form over here. So SQL view and open this up. So inner join on customers.id. No, I took a screenshot of the wrong. So it's customers and orders over here. So wish I could take 2 screenshots at once. Equals orders.customer ID. So basically I selected this and I did an inner join with this customer ID column, and here is the inner join. So it only includes the join fields from where both tables are equal. This would be an outer join 1 and 2 and 3. I go over inner joins and outer joins in, I think, my second video, my second access video, the difference between them. So basically I selected orders, like here's like the non-SQL view. You could just double click up here to get the orders with the star, and then I selected the columns I wanted over here. So you could actually build this in the datasheet view, but I built it in the SQL view just by copying this code here. So let me close this out. Close out the relationship. So the record source was basically that selection. So now I'm going to add a what this record source did. It basically created a join between the customers and the orders table based on ID equals customer ID, and it's like the columns from both the tables, which I could use in the form. So now I'm going to add a combo box. I'm going to click here, draw a combo box. I'm just going to click cancel because I'm going to want to do stuff. So I'm going to go here and click layout and stacked because I want them all close, like magnet, close to each other. So I'm going to go to the combo box, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do customer ID as the control source on the data. So customer ID, being that I already, if I clicked here and I already did like the form and I did all this stuff with the tables for the record source, I use SQL and all the tables to pull all the data for the form. So now the other controls I added first a combo box, which lets you, it's like a drop down menu that lets you select a certain amount of values, or you could add values to it if you use VBA, which I'll show you later. So for the control source, I selected customer ID, and then with the row source, I'm going to do limit to list, yes, which will limit it to these customers. And then I'm going to, for the row source, right? Yeah, so for the row source, I'm just going to copy this from here because I don't feel like selecting stuff. It's way quicker. So row source, I'm going to paste, and then open up in SQL view. So basically I select customer's ID, customer's last name, and I concatenate with that with the first name as an expression. I showed expressions in my second video and functions, and that's from the customers table, and then I did ascending order for customer's last name, first name. So that's the row source for this dropdown. And I'm going to do, under format, I'm going to make extra changes because right now this is where your dropdown looks like. It just looks like random numbers and you're like, what is that? So you go to design view and column widths, and you do 0, comma, 0, comma, like 1 or 0.9. And then if you go over here, doesn't do anything yet. So if you go to column count and 2, and then over here, now it has all the names. That's because this was based on it was based on like the ID that we connected before between the two tables. So if I go to form view, so if I click up here to form and data, so this was based on the customer ID equals the ID for the orders in the customers tables. And basically how this works out is I'm selecting the customer's ID and the first name and the last name, and basically it's joined to another table based on the ID. So the first column would just be like the ID number, and I basically over here on format I wrote 0, so that makes the ID like width is 0, and then I put 1 over here, which makes the actual name, first name, last name big. So I only have to really look at the first name and the last name because I didn't select hide the key column like normal, like I show you in my first and second video. I just wrote it in SQL. So the width of the column as, let's see, so now I'm going to create another form, which is, so right now I'm just going to save this form as place order 3. So now I'm going to create another blank form, go to design view. And I'm going to make sure this form, so I'm going to go to design and property sheet and form. So this data record source is linked to order details, and I'm going to add a combo box and 3 text boxes. Because this is actually going to be the subform that's a part of the place order 3 form. So now I'm going to add a combo box here, and I'm going to click cancel and then just add everything that I want. So over here for control source, I'm going to do product ID, and then for row source, I'm going to copy that from over here. And then open it up, close it. So that was that. And now I'm going to do, let me do form view, see what it shows. It shows all the different products, except it only shows the products again. So for this one, I basically have to do the same thing I did with the last one. Column count 2, column width 0, comma 1, and then see how it looks. So now it just has all the products. See, there's type www. So I'm going to go to design view, and I'm going to add a text box here. Then I'm going to add another text box here. I'm going to add another text box here. So I'm just going to highlight all these and then click layout, tabular. I'm just going to move these all like that. I'm going to name this one price. I'm going to name this one quantity, and I'm going to name this one let's see, and I'm going to go to price and data. Control source is price. Quantity, control source is quantity. And then last one, the control source is actually a formula, which I wrote. Which is that. So let me go to this view. So still nothing's really happening when you select anything here. But if you go to design view and this over here, you need to add code here to update all this other stuff. So this is where like the VBA code will come into will start working. So basically, when you change this combo box, it's going to update these other text boxes based on that. So I'm going to go to event, and on change, I'm going to click here, go to code builder. I'm actually going to rename this combo box too. See how it says combo 0 underscore change? I'm going to rename that first. So I'm going to go to other, and then rename this as, I think, product ID. You just delete that out because that's no longer what it's called. So product ID change, and delete out the second end sub. So basically, so if the product ID is null, then it exits the sub procedure because you don't want to do anything. So then the price, what it does is it looks up in the products table, it looks up the price column where the ID equals the product ID in the products table, and yeah, it sets the quantity, this text box here, it sets that equal to 1 to start out with, and the price here is the price that it's changing there with this DLOOKUP formula. I used the DLOOKUP formula before to look up the value of the product instead of the ID number. And yeah, so that's when the product changes. Go to form view now. So now when I select each of the different things, you can see the different pricing. I could change the captions up here so it reads a little bit better. So I'm going to go to design view and change this to product price quantity and total. So I'm going to go to form view, and so you can see it changes all the different things. So now if I change the quantity, go to 5, so it changes the price automatically. And the reason it does that is because it says the formula in it. It says format equals quantity, so this just multiplies the quantity times the price. So this data, and then it does it as a currency, which is the format, so it changes the quantity times the price and it makes it a currency. So now I'm going to save this as place order sub form 3. So this form right here that we just made is going to be a subform on the original one we were working on. So now I'm going to go over here to subform subreport, and I'm going to add the subform here, and I'm going to use an existing form, which is place order subform 3. Alright, so I added that there, and now you could actually change the other form within this form, so you don't have to really click between the two forms. See, here's the onChange procedure we did in the other form. So I'm going to actually click here, and then I'm going to add another sub procedure here. And I'm going to copy that from over here. So let me show this on the entire screen. So what this does is this basically checks if so if you type a product in here and then you press enter and it actually doesn't exist, then it'll ask you if you want to add it to the products table. I'll actually come back to this later because I actually make the add products form, so I'm just gonna not go over that VBA code for now, and then I'll go over it after. I just pasted that there for now because it was there. So I'm gonna go to the place order subform 3, and this is actually what we just made the subform on here. And what I basically did was design view. Yes. So notice how the code we added to this subform 3 is still there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this form. I'm going to go to format and form, And instead of single form, it's going to be a continuous forms. So I go to form view. So what this actually does is, let me close this out, click yes, and then go to place order 3, table, which is somewhere here. Oh, yeah, here it is. So, let me cut that, yes, cut that, yes. So basically, let me add a quick code to this form on load, because form on load. So basically, let me just pull it from my other on load, because form on load. So basically, click on place order 3, go to form, and then for on load, when this form loads, I want it to be blank. So let me click save and open it up. So this form, oh wait, no, place order 3. So this form, it's always blank when you open it up, because I'm selecting new customers all the time, so I want it to be blank when I open it up. So now that I switch it to a continuous form, when I select a product, it actually goes to multiple, you could add multiple records within each order. So now that it's a continuous form, it just keeps adding all the way down. So that's what was so useful about going to design view and going to format for this form. So this is the place order 3, so then this form isn't continuous, but the subform over here, place order subform 3, is what is continuous. So design view. So this is form. This is what's continuous. So everything, every time you add new product to an order for a person, it basically just keeps adding until you're done, as many. So now I'm going to go to place order, and over here I'm going to go to design, and I'm going to create a text box over here. And for this text box, I'm going to go to the control source, data control source. Let me scroll down to that and copy. So this is the stuff that I just wrote there. So basically, go to form view. So I select a person, I select that, and I select that, and I select that. So this total should be updating down here. So in order to get that to happen, I need to add a form event. So on the subform, I need to add a recalc after anything gets updated or deleted. Every time after an update, after an insert, and after a deletion. Because I want this number down here to change anytime anything on here changes or gets deleted. So I'm going to go to subform 3. I'm going to keep these changes, subform 3, design view, and then go to after update. And for this one, I'm going to actually change this to add product 3, because that'll be the form that I'm going to be working with when we use that. This is the other subroutine that I was working with that I said I was going to review when I made this form, which we didn't do yet. So now we're just working on the events for this sub form over here. So I'm just going to copy them from this one because I already did this over here and I don't feel like writing it again. So over here, update, yeah. So all the code is there for after update, after insert, and after deletion confirm. I'm going to close this out and then open up place order 3. So to this person. Oh, I have to switch this to the actual name of the form. Didn't recalculate properly. Yeah, so now when I select the prices, or select a new product, every time it adds the price to this total price down here, because those events, they recalculate this down here. So this is the total of these 3 totals. And yes, so this is the formula that sums up everything over here. And it basically works by price times quantity, and then it looks at the order details where the order ID equals the ID for, I guess, this table form data, which is how these tables are connected. So now I'm going to do, I guess, another text over here, which will be data ID and text and data and today's date placed. So form. Now basically the form is completely functional. So this will be the 37th record over here, and this is today's date. And let's do that and that and that. And let's make this 3. So that's the total down there. And then when you close this out, so she got 3 chocolate syrups. We can close this out. Do you want to change design? Place order 3. Yes. So orders 37. See, it's already updated in this orders table. So I'm going to show you each of the tables right now. I don't know if I did that earlier. So here's the orders table. Here's the order details table. Here is customers table. Here is the products table. So those are all the tables. So let's see, the order for this person was 7, who is Melissa. So Melissa, here's 37, and then here's 3. So here's that order that I just did. So that's already updating in the customers table and all the other tables. And so now what this does is you go to design view, and this event over here, this on not list. So what this does is if you type in a product that doesn't exist, it says, do you want to, you get a message box that says, do you want to add a product for new data, which is up here within the open quotes, and it's a variable declared as a string, and question mark, and then VB yes or no. So if you select no, then what it does is it clears product ID, which it clears that combo box, and it says it tells Access to skip it, and then it goes basically to the end of the end if, and that's the end of it if you don't want to add it. But if you do want to add it, if you click VBS, then its response is that Access added it, and it goes to, it opens the form add product 3, which I haven't created yet, and then it adds new data, and I don't know what AC dialog is. You Google, it's probably like a dialog window to add the data. And then over here, what this does is it clears the product ID, and then it requeries the product ID with this new data that was added to the product table via the add product form, and then it does a lookup with the ID column from the products table where the product name equals and then the new data, so whatever you typed. And then what it does with this is it basically changes the product ID to be what you typed, and then so basically clears it out, requeries it, and then it looks up all the information related to it, and it changes it back to it. So that's what this not in list does. And go over to form view, and let me just type in, let me select someone, so Patrick Persuasion, and Patrick, he orders Patrick's, and I press enter. Do you want to add new thing for Patrick? Yes. I'm going to get an error because I don't have a form called add products 3 yet, so I'm going to click end. Alright, and basically now we're going to create add product 3 form, so blank form, and I'm going to go to which has a new record to the products table. So I'm going to go to form and data, and for record source it is product category ID. No, record source is products table, and now I'm gonna just add a few design view. Where's all this stuff? I'm going to delete this because I don't see anything there. So I'm going to create blank form, design view, and then I'm going to go to design, property sheet, form, record source, products. Now I'm going to add in a combo box, text box, and a few text boxes. So combo box, cancel, and then like a few text boxes underneath. So I'm going to highlight all these, and I'm going to click layout and stacked, so it just lines them all up. And over here, I'm just going to name each of these. These are just the captions that I'm changing here. These don't change the actual value. Have one more text box. Highlight this again, right click, and layout stacked. Yeah, so let's see, let me drag them all over here. So now I'm going to select this one, and the data control source is product category ID. And the row source I'm going to copy from here. So that's that. And product name, I'm going to do product name. Description is going to be description. And the same thing for each of these. I'm going to switch this bound column to 2. And I'm going to save this as add products 3 because that's the name that event thing referenced. So no. So over in this one, this event, or not in list, what this did is this was referencing the form we just made, add product 3, and now I'm going to demonstrate that. So let's do Patrick and Patrick's and press enter. Do you want to add new product for Patrick's? Yes. Add products. Oh, I misspelled the form. Rename to add product 3 instead of add product 3. So let me do Patrick's. Do you want to add new? Yes. So see how this form loaded, and it didn't have, first of all, it wasn't blank. Second of all, it didn't have Patrick's there. So I'm going to close this out because that was wrong. And I'm going to go to add product 3 and design view. And I need to add one more thing, which is Visual Basic. And over here to add product 3, where is that form? Add form, add product 3. I don't see that anywhere. Design view. So on load for add product 3, I basically want that, and I want place order, I want it blank too. I want it blank, and I want the product name to equal that. So I'm going to close this out, yes. So I'm going to open up place order 3. Let's try Patrick again. So Patrick, press enter, yes. So now obviously it's blank, and we're just creating this new product called Patrick. So Patrick is a beverage, and let's say Patrick beverages are soda, and the price for them are $11.11. And the units on order is 5. So press enter. Now as all this information appears here, this works normally. So this is Patrick's order. He ordered Patrick and carrots and bananas. So I'm going to close this out and go to orders and open this up. So this is that total order, and also under products, Patrick is now a new product. So now whenever anyone places an order, like say Maya comes in now, she can order herself some Patricks. So now Patrick is now forever a product that can be ordered. So now I'm going to create a ship orders form, which will, now that we can create all these orders, I'm going to create a ship orders form, which changes the status for each of the orders from new, because here's orders, we got new, and then whenever anyone's looking at the order, it's in progress, and then once they're done with it, it's shipped. So here are all these new orders that are sitting around waiting to be shipped. So now I'm going to create a ship orders form, which is this form here. So I'm going to go to create, blank form, design view, and design property sheet. And basically, so the form data is from orders. It is a continuous form, and I'm going to add in a text box, make it smaller, two combo boxes, and then I think another text box and a command button. Make this a little bit wider, and a command button without anything. So I'm going to highlight them, layout, and tabular, which makes them all horizontal and adds the captions up in the header. I'm going to drag that up and then drag this all the way up there. So for this, I'm going to name this, just write each of the captions, date placed, status, customer, and order ID. So this one will be data, date placed, status ID, customer ID, and ID, and let me change this command button from caption to process, and so the status ID, the row source is, let me copy that from here. Let me open that up. That's that. And for the column count, I'm going to do 2. No, not bound column 2. Bound column 1, format column count 2. And column width, I'm going to do 0, 1, enter. And for customer ID, I'm going to do column count 2, 0, 1, and the data is this is equal that, and for the on-click event for this one, I'm going to open this up, code builder, and notice how it says command 8 here. I don't like that. I'm going to go to name, and I'm going to switch this name to process order. And now I'm going to go to event. Let's just delete this out. So here's the name of the process order, underscore click. So this is 2 subroutines within one button click. So basically what this does is this refreshes the form, just to make sure if any changes got done to the form while you're working with it. It gives you like an up-to-date stuff. So if the status ID equals 2, let me open up the order status. So 2 means new, and 3 means in progress. So if status ID is 2, then we want to switch it to 3, which is in progress, because you clicked on process for whichever order you're working on. So if you clicked it, that means you're working on it, so you don't want anyone else to work on it. So now it's in progress, and what this does is it saves the record. So now it'll say in progress, and now whenever anyone clicks form refresh, it'll be in progress. So this entire equals 2 thing won't be true. So it'll just go to the end of the program and it'll be done because it's in progress. But if they click this button and it happens to be new, then you can continue after you save this record, and it'll go to open form review order details, which I need to build next, and then it works on based on the order ID equals the ID. And then what this is do update. It runs this part of the macro now. So what this does is if this goes to an error, then let me make this max. Yeah, so you can see everything in one screen. So here's the error. So if there is an error, it goes down to here and it gives a description for the error, and then it resumes next. So here it creates a query, and with the query it selects the product ID and the quantity from the order details where the ID equals the ID, and then it creates a record set with the current database and the current record set. And what it does is it gets the quantity and the product ID, and it updates the products, the units in stock, and the quantity where the ID equals the product ID. So for each of the products, it creates and updates the units in stock, and then it executes the command and it moves to the next order, and then it closes the record set and it closes the database. So that's what each of those does. So now you have this form built and has all of the orders that we've done so far, like 41 orders. So if I go to orders, 41 orders. Now we have 41 orders on this form. It always updates whenever there's a new order. And basically, let me click save, and this will be the ship orders 3. Okay. So now I need to build the review order details form, which is this form. So basically it gives everything in the order details, and then you click ship, and then it processes the order. So for the order details form, I'm just gonna walk you through this one. So review order details, design view. So the ship is, when you click ship, it closes it, it opens a form ship orders, and it sets the status for 4, which is shipped. So basically what that does is it opens this, it changes this to shipped, and it saves the record. And if you click cancel, then it switches it back to new, so someone else can work on it. So here's the data. This is the product name, the part number, quantity, and this form the data is the review order details. And review order details is basically these tables. So it's a query with the orders, order details, and the products all linked together. So that's what this data is based on. And that's basically what this form is. I'm not going to rebuild it because it's nothing really new. And I'll just scroll through all these. Yeah, so it's nothing really new. I mean, what this process button does is it executes all that code and updates all of the, like, the products, let's say on the orders. And then you got like the units in stock here and the units on order. So those are all the tables. So when you run that, it basically, let's say, process, and this guy owned 88,000 potatoes, ship. So now this switches to shipped for Grayson. So yeah, notice how the potatoes are in negative now, so it updated that. Yeah, so now he has negative potatoes. And that's it for this video. I'm going to make another VBA video, and I mean, you could also use table events, which I showed you in the 4th video, to make this even better. But thank you for watching my video.